Senator LaValle.
Through you. We started in East Moriches, if you look at your map, and we went out to Montauk. One of the districts that we included here is Bridgehampton. Bridgehampton is probably the least likely. If Bridgehampton came running forward and said, Senator LaValle, we want to be part of the newly formed Central High School District, I would pass out with such surprise. But we listed them because we wanted to show a pathway from East Moriches out to Montauk. So East Moriches is in the western part of the east end of my district, and Montauk, you can't go any further. You're in the Atlantic Ocean going to England.
Through you, Mr. President, the sponsor would continue
Will
to
the senator
yield.
continue to yield? Senator Krueger.
Thank you. So I'm looking at the map and I'm listening to the sponsor describe the various school districts that might potentially go into some kind of deal to have a central high school with non-contiguous district lines skipping over certain towns but including others. But there's one school district on this chart that doesn't seem to be listed in the bill, the Eastport South Manor School District.
There's a reason for that.
That was my question.
Senator, through the chair, please.
So,
is the question finished, Senator Krueger?
Thank you. May I just finish? So yes. So why would we not include a school district that is between East Moriches, and Remsburg Spion?
Okay.
Senator LaValle.
So I'm going to answer your question through the chair.
Okay.
But then I would like you to ask me, why are we going through this? What, I mean, why don't you tell me what is your real question or problem with this bill?
Senator, through the chair, please.
Because, Senator, I don't, it's a very straightforward bill. Now, I've indicated to you that I've been I've put forth a lot of ideas to reorganize school districts. And I work with them on an annual basis. And I try every creative idea that you can come up with. So a number of years ago, about 18 years ago, I had a notion that there were two districts, there were actually four. There were four school districts that should have come together. And what we did is, for 18 torturous months, I worked with four school districts toward a reorganization plan. One of the districts was Eastport, one of the districts was South Manor, one of the districts was East Moriches, and one of the districts was Center Moriches. 18 months, once a week, for 18 months. And so what we did is we actually used the Central High School District idea, and then we went from Central High School District to a central district. So the very district you just mentioned is a reorganized school district, having taken Eastport and South Manor. The other two districts had presidents of their boards that were attorneys. And in the 11th hour, after having spent 17 months at the negotiating table, said, well, you know, I don't know if this is in the best for our district. And they bailed out. And I pleaded with them that they were not negotiating a personal injury settlement, and number two, that their school taxes would spike. And that's exactly what happened. Both districts, Center Moriches and East Moriches, faced increases in their real property taxes at one point or another after turning down joining Eastport and South Manor. Their taxes spiked 30% or more in both districts. So, but if you could really get around and ask me a question here to get, there's like, you're looking at some clandestine reason for this bill, and there is none, but I'm willing to answer whatever question.
I would remind the members to please address all remarks through the chair.
Yes.
Senator Kruger?
Thank you, Mr. President, through you. I appreciate the sponsor's answers.
Will the senator continue to yield for a question?
Thank you.
Senator
Of course
LaValle.
I will.
Senator
Thank you.
Kruger?
So my concern, and I will phrase it as a question to the senator, is that allowing non-contiguous communities to work together to create central high schools and leaving out others within the geographic area puts us in a position of potentially allowing communities.
Is there a question, Senator Kruger?
Yes, there is a question. Thank you. But it puts us in a position in this bill of allowing communities that might have commonalities of higher income,
Senator,
lower.
are you asking are you asking that of the senator?
I am asking. I haven't
Okay.
finished the question, but he was asking me, why am I asking this? So I'm saying, through you, Mr. President, if we allow, as this bill would do, non-contiguous school districts to be allowed to combine into central high schools, the risk, and this is the question for the sponsor, the risk is we could actually lock out poorer children in sections within a specific geographic area so that they could not participate in a central school, high school, which means we would say, we want this town's high school students, we want this town's high school students, but we don't want the students in between in our high school because perhaps they are lower income, perhaps they are of color, perhaps we don't think they're like our kids. So my concern and my question to the senator is, how would we prevent that kind of situation from happening if this became the law and individual school districts who were not contiguous could choose to package themselves as one, locking out others who maybe end up being in much worse financial shape under these kinds of deals?
Senator LaValle?
Senator, I started off by saying that under the law as it had existed, only contiguous districts, and the reason I gave you the map is so that you could see that there are districts that are not contiguous that would like to enter this situation. So that's why we have this bill before us. because districts, because they were not contiguous, were excluded. Now, I had indicated to you that the one district that would not, they are happy to be their own entity, is the school district of Bridgehampton. Now, and I'm guessing, I know you visited the east end of my district, and you get to see some of the larger homes in Bridgehampton. But there is a whole other side of Bridgehampton, and they love having their own high school in Bridgehampton, and wouldn't reorganize with anyone. So this is very straightforward. It will allow all of those districts along that fork. It will create one contiguous, tied together, that if they want to reorganize in a central high school district, they will now have that ability. Doesn't force them, doesn't force anyone to do this, but it takes away the one piece that never allowed them, and that's the word, removing the word contiguous. So now they need not be contiguous.
Just speak on the bill. Through you, Mr. President, on the bill.
Senator Kruger on the bill.
I don't actually think the senator answered my last question, even though he urged me to ask it, which was, should we be concerned that school districts could jump over other school districts to get to the ones they like and not have to work with the one right next door, which might be a population of children and their families who they don't wish to work with? I think that isn't really very good public policy. I'm not going to disagree that he may know for a fact Bridgehampton doesn't want to share its schools with anyone. My understanding is Southampton and Tuckahoe have attempted merger unsuccessfully in some way, shape, or form, and Tuckahoe apparently has a lower income population. There was another explanation for the Eastport South Manor story, but that is a district that has a high fiscal stress category and a significant number of Black and Latino children in the school district. I don't know what the reasons would be that certain school districts would want to work together towards one high school and other districts might not want to, or why school districts would desperately want to work with another one and would be told no. I don't actually think it's a good idea for the legislature to independently create its own set of rules for non-contiguous districts. I actually think there are a lot of questions that need to be answered when school districts can't or won't work together for the betterment of students and cost efficiencies. And so I do think that it should be left up to the state education department to evaluate each request and to stop and say, you know, this might work for this town, but it certainly isn't going to help the town next to it. It will actually make it much worse if it's skipping over and doing a joint venture with the other community 2 towns over, 3 towns over. It also raises questions about transportation costs of how far are you going to move the kids. Those may be resolvable, but I think when you're looking at regional questions like this within the context of Suffolk County, You really shouldn't allow specific school districts out of the process where SED has to come and evaluate and discuss what's going on. And while I accept that the senator's argument is there's just this one town, Bridgehampton, right there in the middle of his district who doesn't want to work with anybody around them, I don't know that that's the only story when you have so many school districts on a list in a bill and you are saying don't have to have contiguous high school central high schools. And I worry that we might find the outcomes are not at all what you might think if we were to pass this bill. And so I am urging a no vote. I am not saying I would not agree with any specific proposal that might be made, but we're not getting a specific proposal made, and we're not having a chance to hear SED's position on whether it would be good education policy or open up a new can of worms that we might not have the information to deal with here today. So I'll be voting no. Thank you, Mr. President.
Seeing no one else wishing to speak, the debate is closed and the Secretary will ring the bell. Senator DeFrancisco.
While we're waiting for senators to come here, there was some confusion on the Republican side whether there was conference after session. There is not. Conference will be tomorrow morning at 10 a.m.
Are we? Call the roll.
Section 2, this act should take effect immediately. Adabo, Flanagan, Klein, Stewart, Cousins, Young.
Announce the result.
In relation to calendar 221, those recorded in the negative are Senators DeLon, Espaillat, Hamilton, Hassel-Thompson, Kruger, Montgomery, Parker, Perkins, Persaud, and Rivera. Ayes 50, nays 10.
The bill is passed. Senator DeFrancisco.
Is there any further business at the desk?
No further business before the desk.
In that case, I move to adjourn until Wednesday, March 23rd at 11 a.m.
The Senate stands adjourned until Wednesday, March 23rd at 11 a.m.